It's a holiday beloved by kids, but Halloween can be scary for parents and exhausting.
You know, if Halloween falls on like a Wednesday, then it's really difficult to do anything.
And for some kids, it's even more dangerous and overwhelming. Kids with health problems, kids with autism. Can they enjoy the festivities too? And what are the dangers? Did you know more kids die on Halloween than any other holiday? Fox 11 News In Depth starts right now.
Hello, everyone. I'm Hal Eisner. Welcome to Fox 11 News In Depth. Halloween is my favorite holiday. After all, it's got my name in it, right? ALLoween. Anyway, the big day is Thursday, and there's lots of planning going on, costumes, parties, all that sort of fun and spooky stuff. But Halloween can be a scary night for real, not to mention painful and difficult for parents who are pulled in so many different directions, just wanting to keep their kids happy and safe. There are several groups who want to make trick-or-treating more of a treat than a trick, and their efforts are gaining momentum. Christine Devine has more on that.
It's a holiday that involves little kids dressing up in costumes and running through the streets after dark, begging for candy from strangers. What could go wrong, right? And that's why Halloween is both popular and problematic. Kids just want to have fun, and parents are just trying to make everybody happy. But what happens when Halloween falls on a weeknight? Everybody's squeezed between work and school and dressing up and trick-or-treating. Well, you get it. But the groups behind an online petition are hoping to change that and have a national trick-or-treat night on the last Saturday of October.
Sometimes us parents are going to school or we work, and it prevents us from spending time with our children if it falls during the week. So I think it's a great idea if it'll be held on the weekend.
A similar petition a couple of years ago to change the actual Halloween holiday to a Saturday met with some resistance.
I think it should stay on the 31st, like my mom said. Because it has been like that for a while, and it will kind of ruin the streak that's been going on for a couple of years now.
That tradition's been going on for more than a couple of years, but are people actually ready to change it? Well, let's just say that the petition to designate a Saturday trick-or-treat night now has more than 150,000 signatures.
And it's probably fair to say that there are a lot of reasons that could be helpful for a lot of different people. And we have several parents with us right now. Juan Capdet and his son Jordy are here. Amy Garango and her son Benjamin are here. And Alyssa Walker is joining us. Her little ones are in school right now. Alyssa is also a national writer for Curbed. Here in Los Angeles, we have Curbed LA. You write about urban life, you write about transportation, housing, and so much more. And Halloween, you're working on a piece for Halloween as well. And your sense of well, let me ask all of you, first of all, raise your hands. A national trick-or-treat day called ALLoween, like all of us, ALLoween. What do you think of that? Good idea? Raise your hand. Is it a good idea? Yeah.
I'm indifferent.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to find out. But let me point out a couple of very important statistics that we've learned. Just a few things about the risks of Halloween from the National Safety Council. Children are more than twice as likely to be hit by a car and killed on Halloween than any other day of the year. 3,800 Halloween-related injuries each year occur. Talk to your kids about safety before they head out. 82% of parents don't use high-visibility aids on their costumes. Be sure to incorporate some kind of reflective tape, glow sticks, finger lights, or light-up accessories. 63% of children don't carry a flashlight. Can you imagine that? It's dark outside, you don't carry a flashlight? They don't carry a flashlight while they're out trick-or-treating. Grab a clip-on light if they don't want to carry one. And this is a statistic here that I still can't get my head around. 12% of children 5 years old and under, keep that in mind, 5 years old and under, go trick-or-treating without the supervision of an adult. I'm not sure how that happens, but that is a really unbelievable statistic. So grab a costume, take advantage of some good old-fashioned family bonding, go out with your kids, supervise them, make sure they're safe, and let's all talk about this. So first, Alyssa Walker, tell me what you think about the idea of a National Trick-or-Treat Day, or ALLoween, and how that sort of lines up with these statistics.
Well, like what you're saying, it's kind of this perfect storm of parents trying to drive home really fast and get to their trick-or-treating destinations, and then you have kids who are out potentially unsupervised, walking our already very dangerous streets of Los Angeles. It's already the #1 cause of death, cars, for kids in LA right now. So yes, I mean, if that would be a way to separate the dangerous cars from the kids walking around, to move it to Saturday, but we also have to work at redesigning our streets and making
There's
sure
also
our
the
neighborhoods
issue,
are
though.
safe.
There's also the issue of parents, not just the kids and safety. It's about parents being able to pull things together. Let me ask you. Your son is 5 years old.
Yeah.
Would you ever send your son out without an adult to go trick or treating?
Not in my wildest dreams.
Yeah, and your son is.
He's 4.
4.
And I can't even imagine.
So what do you think when you hear that statistic right there?
It's frightening, and it's really scary. And I can't imagine any parent willingly letting their child go out trick or treating alone. So.
Well, let me ask you, and then we'll get to you. What's your feeling about having a national trick-or-treat day?
I like the inclusivity of it. I think it's a great idea. I think it might be difficult to pull off. You know, the sort of the tradition and the memories that we all have of Halloween still sort of resonates with everyone. I think that might be the hesitation, but I think it has merit. I think it's worth trying.
Juan, what they tell me, the organizers of this back east, what they tell me is that it's kind of a grassroots effort. This started 2 years ago. It was kind of morphed into a little better thought last year. 2 little small towns across the country are actually doing it this year, but the feeling they have is it's going to take a mayor, it's going to take a governor, it's going to take a president of the United States to declare a national trick-or-treat day. Yeah. Would you like to see that?
You know, from the standpoint of ease for the parents and just safety, if you know that Saturday you can focus, you have the day, you can do the party during the day and then go trick-or-treating at night, I really think it helps because, like we were all saying, that rush to get home, I mean, this is Los Angeles, so, you know, people drive poorly on a regular day. Now you're trying to rush home before it gets dark so you can get the kid dressed, you know.
Yeah.
We talked to some people out on the streets. We wanted to see what they had to, what their ideas were about all of this, and here's some of those reactions.
And I think that if kids would have it on a Saturday, then they could just relax on Sunday, right? I mean, it makes more sense.
Being a Saturday night, it gives certain kind of time availability for the parents to be able to take the kids out instead of being a Thursday night or other nights.
It can be much easier for the parents to be prepared for the children, going out trick-or-treating in the afternoon rather than rushing home from work and trying to get everything organized.
It's a good idea for school purposes, but then it kind of kills the tradition of Halloween.
I mean, you look at that a lot of different ways, but I mean, as a parent who's been through Halloween, I know that rush to get home. I know that rush to make the kids happy and get their costumes on. And I know that feeling of going house to house. And even being at home giving out candy, I've always enjoyed that interaction with people. But I could see the merits of this, but I could also see where it does take away from the tradition. And traditions are kind of a significant thing, right? I mean...
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Yeah, that means over 1,000 years, right?
Yeah, it's been a long time. And so the idea that Mr. Pumpkin here, that's a tradition, and so it's not just pumpkins, it's what we do. We look forward to Christmas and New Year's and Thanksgiving and Halloween. Right. And so I think it's an interesting notion. I don't know how long it might be before we see enough of a groundswell to see something like this happen. But this association, the Halloween and Costume Association that's behind this, put out a little video. I'd like to show everybody what that is, and we'll talk about it afterwards. Go ahead.
These are the days of fat and thin, of sowing division and ginning up din, of pointing the finger and spinning the spin. But one time of year, there's a shift in the wind, and something beyond understanding creeps in, embracing us all with a chill and a grin. It's time for ALLoween. One day to face the great unknown, to change the masks and join the show, to let imagination flow. It's time for ALLoween. 1 October notion, one day to unite, from Saturday morning through Saturday night. In Halloween laughter and party and fright, it's time for ALLoween. One day to let the pixies run, one grand parade of everyone. One day for all and all for fun. It's time for ALLoween.
ALLoween. Well, one word answer. What do you think? You like that?
A little scary.
What about you, Juan?
It's an interesting concept.
Yeah?
I like it.
Well, I like the name. Yeah. All right, coming up, we take a look at another interesting crusade to make Halloween friendlier for kids who are nonverbal or on the autism spectrum. We'll be right back on Fox 11 News In Depth. Welcome back to Fox 11 News In Depth. It was a Hawaiian mother's Facebook post that went viral when she wrote that her 3-year-old son is nonverbal and has autism. She says she came up with the idea of using blue buckets so that people wouldn't wait for the boy to say trick or treat, adding to stress that naturally occurs on Halloween when you knock on the door and there's a stranger there waiting for you. Joining us are Tamara Marriott, Rebecca Zornitsky, both from Autism Speaks, and back with us are Juan Capdet and his little boy, Jordy, who's 5 years old, and he's dealing with autism. And let's start with you for a moment. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about your son. He's 5.
Yeah, he's 5. So we got his formal diagnosis when he was about 2.5, and that just set a village in motion to get behavioral therapy, speech therapy, occupational therapy, and just playing the hand you're dealt.
Now Jordy is wearing a Peter Pan costume, and
Yes.
this is what Jordy's going to be wearing on Halloween.
Yeah, it's his favorite character right now.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, what do you think of this idea of the blue bucket?
I think it's great for, especially because it helps parents, but also children on the spectrum who might even be older, like teenagers and whatnot, to be able to participate and really feel included in something that can be a little overwhelming, even for someone without sensory.
Well, for
issues.
Jordy and sometimes for me, it's a little overwhelming being in a television studio. Yeah. So I can certainly understand some of that. Tamara, Jordy and his dad, so nice to be here to talk to us and share a little bit of their feeling. But what do you think about this idea of a blue bucket? Came out of nowhere. Came out of Hawaii. Some woman had this idea and bam. Well, yeah, that's what I say, yay.
Well, definitely for some families, it could be the right choice for them and their children, as far as the fact that they're signaling other trick-or-treaters or people's homes that they're going to that they are on the spectrum and they might be nonverbal. And for other families, though, they may choose to go a different route. We definitely, at Autism Speaks, we want people to, in the end, do what's right for their family and make a decision what they think, whether they want to disclose that their kid has autism or not. And maybe that's a decision they make. If with an older child, they may want to make that decision together. But there's other alternatives as well, like wearing a label or carrying a sign saying,
is it really
my
important
child
to do that, Rebecca? I mean, is it necessary to identify yourself before you come to the door?
No, it's definitely not. And we like to stress that it's super important that it is your choice as a parent and as a family to decide whether or not you want to disclose. It's obviously very personal to disclose whether or not.
But do children, like Jordy, for instance, did they end up with problems communicating and things like that at the door of somebody who's looking forward to seeing children come to the door and give them candy?
It can certainly be possible. I definitely think Juan would be able to touch on that more about Jordy specifically, but it can be very overwhelming. It's very sensory heightened to go through Halloween. Just in general, you have all the colors and the candy and all of the people walking around. It can be overwhelming. So I think having that can definitely be just kind of a sense of comfort for that specific kiddo and their parents and their family.
Juan, do you want to address that? What that's like?
Yeah, it's definitely, it's not being apologetic when you get to the door, because a lot of times, I kind of preface it with, we ring the doorbell and, oh, he's on the spectrum. So the homeowner, the person opening the door is very understanding, but I think the blue bucket definitely helps, for us as a visual, if people are aware of what it signifies.
You're going to be using a blue bucket.
Absolutely.
Have you done that before?
No,
have you had a badge on, anything that sort of indicates that?
We never knew of something that could easily identify, and to be able to have something that, quietly identifies.
Right.
For him is fantastic, because it'll definitely help just for him to feel more comfortable.
So you have a bucket like the one we're showing everybody right now.
Yeah.
And the idea there is you come up and then If folks, if you're at the door and you open up your door and a child like Jordy says trick or treat and they have that blue bucket, let me ask you guys, Tamara, how should people respond? What would be the right way to respond to that?
Well, they certainly can either smile and just treat them like they would every other trick-or-treater, or if they feel like there's a good rapport with the parent, they could mention it. But again, I think it's on a case-by-case basis.
And so let me ask you, Rebecca, a lot of people really don't understand autism. We're really not completely sure why it always happens. But how do you describe autism in the simplest of ways?
Autism is described as a developmental disability. It comes in a variety of levels, and some of the more common symptoms are sensitivities, nonverbal communication, repetitive behaviors or repetitive interests, and those are some of the more common symptoms of autism that are seen in most individuals.
And so a child on a trick-or-treat night, for instance, going to feel a little more anxiety?
Yes,
think?
absolutely. And they sometimes have greater challenges and fears around the holiday. And so one of the things that we do want them to know as well is we have a lot of tools and resources at the Autism Speaks website about Halloween.
Okay.
And they can always go there at autismspeaks.org and look them up. And that might also give them some great tools to be able to work with their kid on Halloween.
Autismspeaks.org. Thank you all very much for being here. Jordy, happy Halloween. Hope you have a good time. I love your costume. Coming up on Fox 11 News In Depth. We talked to a doctor about a new plan to help kids with food allergies enjoy the holiday too. Welcome back. These teal-colored pumpkins are something that parents of kids with food allergies are hoping to see popping up all over. They're intended to alert trick-or-treaters at those homes that are offering non-food items to protect any of the children with food sensitivities from an allergic reaction. So we have a great costume right here for you. We have a young fella here who is dressed up as a stormtrooper. And Mom, Amy, is back. And your son's name is?
This is Benjamin,
right?
Yes.
And then we have Dr. Reshma Chand from Dignity Health Northridge Hospital.
Yes.
And she's what they call a pediatric intensivist.
That's correct.
And that means you work in the ICU, right?
That is correct.
And this is right here, Mr. Teal Pumpkin. Or is it Miss Teal? I'm not sure. But it's a teal pumpkin. It's a teal pumpkin. And the notion behind this, I guess, is that if you have one of these at your door, okay? So you have one of these outside your door, and a child comes up and they see this, or mom and dad see this, it's a signal to them that they're not giving out candy that might be a problem if they have peanuts or chocolate, something your child is allergic to. Instead, they may have things like this, like glow sticks or crayons or color markers here, or stickers. We've got a whole bunch of things here that basically are non-food items. And doctor, let me ask you, what do you think of this idea of drawing attention to these allergic sensitivities by using something like a teal-colored pumpkin?
I think it's a great idea. Food allergies are much more common than people expect. 1 out of every 13 children has some sort of food allergy.
And so this is a big point. I know, when I was a kid, I had allergies, but I grew out of them eventually,
Sure.
and I think that often happens, right?
Yes, you can totally grow out of your food allergies. Seasonal allergies is something different. We're going to concentrate on talking about food allergies and how some kids do grow out of it, yes.
But it's interesting because I've known people who have allergies to peanuts, and boy, can you get a horrible reaction from that.
Yes, so symptoms can be mild to severe to life-threatening, and the mild symptoms are more the things that we think about, hives or your rich, itchy like skin, redness to your skin. You can even have your eyes be itchy and red, and you can have watery nose too.
And with children, can this even be more pronounced?
Absolutely, with children and with adults, but with children, you can also have severe reactions such as like your lips swelling, your tongue is swelling, you feel like a tightness in your mouth and your chest. You can also have hoarseness when you're talking.
Now, parents clearly know their children. Now, Amy, you know your son, and Benjamin, you want to show everybody what's under the mask? You want to take off your mask and let's see you? Yeah, there you go, young man. Yay. All right. Tell us about your son.
So Benjamin is 4 years old, and we knew pretty early on, probably about 2 to 4 months old, that he had some food sensitivities and allergies happening.
What's he allergic to?
He is allergic to peanuts, some tree nuts, and eggs.
So when he has peanuts, does he have some of the symptoms she's talking about?
Yes, absolutely. And
so what would happen if you went to the door and you had your trick-or-treat thing and they put peanuts in there and you didn't catch it and your son ate it?
We would end up in the ER. We would be the second, pretty much within 3 seconds that he eats a peanut, even touches a peanut, he'll just blow up in hives. And when we learned of it, we were in the allergist office, luckily, and it was during a food challenge, and it was pretty immediate.
I mean, there's all kinds of candy out there. You got all those things we're showing on TV right now. Some of those things have nuts. So have you had any instances in the past 4.5 years when you've gone to somebody's door and he had a bad allergic reaction?
We luckily have not, but now that he's getting older, my concern is that, that can very easily happen.
And so the teal pumpkin, you like that idea?
Absolutely.
And do you expect to see that at people's homes?
I do.
But a lot of people don't even know. A lot of people don't even know that this is an idea that's blossoming out there in the country. And so I guess what we want to say is that if you want to not give candy, if that's something you are going to do anyway, maybe it's a good idea to go to the store. We went to the store, bought this, wasn't very expensive at all. It's plastic. So it's not a real pumpkin. It's not like the other one we had over here. So I mean, this is not an expensive way to try to let people know what we're dealing with. Just a couple of tips real quick. Carry a flashlight. Reflective tape on costumes is a really good idea. Don't let masks obscure eyes. Stay on sidewalks or paths and make eye contact with drivers. Drivers, the #1 issue you got to be concerned about on Halloween, and adults should accompany kids. There's just no question about that. Kids, especially as young as your child, should never be out on their own. That's it for this segment. Thank you both for joining us.
Thank you.
We'll be back after this break.
Great.
We're going to continue this conversation on my podcast, What the How? You can get that on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify, or wherever you get podcasts, including whatthehowpodcast.com. Just a few tips. I want to remind you about some of these very serious things about Halloween from the National Safety Council. First of all, children are more than twice as likely to be hit by a car and killed on Halloween than any other day of the year. 3,800 Halloween-related injuries happen each year, and 82% of parents don't use high-visibility aids. Also important to note that there are a lot of little children that go out without a parent, and 63% of children don't carry flashlights. So yeah, all these things are very important to keep in mind on a holiday where there's a potential for a great deal of fun and a potential for a very serious problem. All right, everybody, let's wish everybody a happy Halloween. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Happy Halloween, everybody, and trick or treat. Trick or treat. See you next week, everybody. Bye-bye.